Hello and welcome. You're being given privileged access because somebody knows me and knows you. So let me pull up my notes. I'm the Global Corporate Growth Architect. I'm also known as the Rainmaker. And for over 40 years, I've helped corporations scale around the world. I've been on the web since the 1970s, helping companies scale household names around the world. In grade school, I had my first Fortune 100 client, and I was mentored by those corporations. And shortly thereafter, I had my second Fortune 500 client, and both of them actually Fortune 100, even Fortune 50, would be household names on every country of the planet. I've helped corporations to scale to hundreds of countries with every facet, from financing to distribution to technology to production to medical teams, management teams, and more. So I've had to master a lot of areas, and I had a very unique background to be able to do that. Because I grew up with it in my blood. I was able to call Dell accurately when it was called PCs Limited, and nobody knew who they were. And they were a Austin, Texas dorm room based little company. I was able to call Apple. Steve Jobs was my hero decades before he was known to the rest of the world in a huge way. And I was able to call BlackBerry, both arise and fall, Netscape, both arise and fall, Google and Skype, and many more. I've been an early user in all of these, and I've helped to, behind the scenes, be the glue. Apple would come to me and show me new things before they revolutionized the world, for example. And I'm calling crowdfunding right now. And it's about time that we get to understand this, because it's really happening now. And if you like what you hear, let the person who knows me, that knows you, set up a video appointment and we'll talk face to face just like this. Now, let me tell you, in 2013, Facebook and crowdfunding actually were neck and neck in terms of global revenues or global donations raised at about 5 to 6 billion each. Now get this, that's pretty big for a new kid on the block to catch up to Facebook. Now in 2014, it stunned even me. The Economist came out with the numbers only a few months ago that the crowdfunding revenues leapt and lapped Facebook by a factor of 3 times to $16.4 billion, from 6 to 16 in 1 year. Have you seen corporations growing like this? This isn't just the new kid on the block. This is the big kid on the block already, and it's time to get to know it. The World Bank has come out, and follow me on this. Get this. World Bank has said 16 billion is nothing. We see 300 billion happening. And I would assume the World Bank, very wisely so, is going to be extremely conservative in its projections. That's 300 billion a year. So is it time? Yes or yes to get to know crowdfunding now. The early adopter rate is enormous. And just like business fail rates, there's an 80 to 90% fail rate for old-fashioned crowdfunding, but it's already been innovated out of existence. The old-fashioned crowdfunding I'm going to call Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, and hundreds of competitors like them who have a 80 to 90% fail rate. You need to have a Fortune 100 marketing team, email list, YouTube video editing capacity, and an amazing business plan, and extreme innovation. I've helped, for example, a Extreme Innovation, which set out to get $70,000, get millions. And they also paid $1 million in fees for the privilege of using the website. So that's what I call old-fashioned crowdfunding. I personally believe, and I'm calling, that it's already been destabilized and innovated, and it's just a matter of time before it's out of existence. First of all, with an 80-90% failure rate, it's got a high complaint rate. FTC is actually actively investigating Kickstarter, for example. Okay, so it's not where I would be. And here's why. If it's already the biggest kid on the block and it's time to start paying attention, then let's look at what causes an Alta Vista to create an industry of search engines and then disappear because they didn't innovate, they didn't stay in touch with needs, and they didn't transform. Well, that's exactly what's happening with crowdstarting. So the Alta Vista is going to go away and it's going to be replaced by the Google, right? So I firmly believe that I'm going to talk about 3 things here. Part 1 is personal crowdfunding that's leveraged. Part 2 is equity crowdfunding for millions of dollars for businesses at 5 times normal success rate. And part 3 is how to reach 800 million people at pennies on the dollar to grow your own crowdfunding. And the United States Securities and Exchange Commission has made some very recent, very dramatic changes that open the door wide open for crowdfunding. So every nation on the planet is actually wide open arms to crowdfunding. I expect regulation in the next 15 months or so. I know the law firms writing those laws, and I also know who's compliant already and who's not. So we got we can keep this simple, or we can got a lot to talk about. So let me talk part one, personal crowdfunding leverage. There's no repayment. There's no loan. There's no grant. There's no interest. There's no credit application. There's no business plan, unlike equity crowdfunding. And it removes a 90% failure rate. So we used to crowdfund our own houses and barns 200 years ago. There was no mortgage. There was no foreclosure. I've actually been donating to some crowdfunding projects for, a little child who lost his home. And I have a 6-year-old child called Michelangelo. This is a 6-year-old child called Michelangelo in another part of the planet. And his parents lost their home just before Christmas. I find that completely unacceptable, utterly unacceptable. This is the new economy, and let's use it. So even the Statue of Liberty was crowdfunded by the people of France. And I'm going to challenge you to step up to updated points of view here, if I may. And if you will, please leave everything you think you know about crowdfunding and financing and business. Just set it aside for now. You can always pick it up later if you want to. Seriously, but for now, let's do a tabula rasa, clean slate, and throw it out. And just let's write on that clean slate what's happening. Now, here's an updated point of view that might be challenging. The old bank economy. What if this old bank economy is giving way to the new people helping people economy? Well proven historically, where we used to do our barn raisings together and have no mortgage, our house raisings together, have no mortgage. Somebody got sick for a month, or for 6 months, they didn't lose their house. Okay, so which economy do you and I want our kids and grandkids growing up in? Decades of education to be tied to the old economy and a job or just over broke, even if they work for themselves just over broke? We know the stats already. Today's generation in North America is going to live fewer years than their parents and grandparents. They're going to be underemployed or unemployed. What kind of future is that? Do I want to tie my kids and grandkids to this old economy, this old bank economy? To be challenging there. With a mortgage for their house, paying 5 times more if they ever get a mortgage. And they won't have Social Security. Anybody under the age of 47 won't have Social Security in the United States already. I can back up all these figures. Do I want them paying 5 times as much for their car via bank loan? Or, God forbid, being foreclosed on and having tent cities, which can only grow as Greece and Europe and Italy and the United States go into deep economic morass, despite the tightly controlled numbers that don't add up. For example, from food inflation to unemployment rates, they just don't add up when you do any kind of spot check. So, do I want that with decades of education tied to an old economy? Or how about a one-day immersion training in this new economy of people helping people? Where in the last 4 months alone, I've seen 3 people hit $30,000 or $40,000 a month of personal donations, not a grant, not a loan, no repayment, no interest. I've seen this where one person gave me their spreadsheet of $10,000 a month. I know these people personally. These are donations coming to them. The money comes from crowdfunding. Now follow me here. There are no caps and no time limits. And it's simply leveraging your time and context and energy. It's possible. And I know one guy's done this over and over and over again. And I've interviewed him and I put it into the immersion training that is specifically only for my contacts. That from $0 to $50,000 over and over and over and over again. And here is particularly a black guy, I'm going to call it the way it is, talking to hundreds of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant or Catholic business owners that he does not know that are all white primarily. And he's helping, and he's getting great results by helping business owners of all stripes start personal crowdfunding leveraged. Now, once that pump is primed, global donations flow. No repayment. It's global, and every country on the planet loves it. So there's a 15-month window of opportunity, I believe, until countries and various states and maybe provinces will start regulating, and this wide global reach is suddenly going to contract. So the next 15 months can retire you, retire your kids, retire your grandkids. Now that's the most I've seen so far is $40,000 a month so far. I'm sure records are going to continue to be set because crowdfunding tripled in 2013 to 2014, and it's probably going to more than triple for the 2015 year, which is ongoing right now. And it's going to skyrocket, even according to the World Bank, the most conservative organization that you could possibly imagine, publishing $300 billion a year. All right, so again, do you want a 90% failure rate? Now let's talk about something else. Part 2, equity crowdfunding, bringing millions of dollars in for businesses, up to 10 million at a time, anywhere from 300,000 to 10 million at a time. This equity crowdfunding is fast, it's large dollars, and you simply tag into the team of investors that I'm connected with. There's over 22,000 investors. We've raised over 343 million US dollars already. And of course, in this case, there is, shares, it's equity. So it's not the personal leverage crowdfunding of 30 to 40,000 a month that I've seen happening in less than 6 months repeatedly with people I know I can introduce you to. But it's normal equity crowdfunding, but it's 5 times more successful than any other method that I've seen, because you get instant access to 23,000 investors. They're all vetted investors, and hundreds of millions of dollars have been raised, like I said. And what makes the 5 times the normal success rate possible is that several million dollars were invested to create a custom efficiencies inside this investor group. All right. So you have the advantage of more investors available, and they work together to fund you instead of a one meal deal. For example, dealing with billionaire family offices, which I have access to. Why? When you can crowdfund among 20,000 investors quickly. If you need more than 10 million, let's talk. But if you need less than 10 million, let's talk, because it's way faster. Thousands of accredited investors are standing by. And what we do is we standardize all the business plans, so allowing our large number of investors to compare apples to apples. It's quick and easy for you to enter the basics of your business and the advantages of your business. And this is what the investors want to know. And it's a win for the investors because they can see things the way they want, benchmark the way they want quickly. It's a win for you because you enter your existing business plan. The system will ask you questions. You simply answer them, and you're going to find out how fundable your businesses are. First of all, the system will evaluate your business according to our investors. If you have multiple projects, that'll let you quickly decide which one to launch first and where to order, how you compare to other businesses in your market or in your industry. And it makes you a business plan, a standardized business plan, because apples to apples, much faster financing, much more financing when there's the crowdfunding, where many investors will make your life easy. Many hands make light work. Do you remember that saying? And makes you a polished fundraising presentation. And you're going to have everything polished, professional, ready for investment and investors. Then we'll open the floodgates for you, where you can communicate and share your polished plan written by our system with thousands, tens of thousands of potential investors. They will be finding you. You will be finding them. How long does it take? Maybe 6 months, maybe a month. Depends on you, basically. So they will log in, and you will be able to log in, your plan, your business benchmarks, run special analytics. It lets them screen out your competitors. It lets them make investment decisions fast, and you get the upper hand. Your plan gets read, time is saved, you get funding faster, 5 times faster, or 5 times more funding. And that's a pretty critical metric. Let's move on to point number 3, and that's mobile. For example, if you're planning on franchising, what if you could grow based on geo-clustering of waiting lists? What if we could dramatically ease your risk by having waiting lists? So when you open in a new location, let's say I've isolated the top 50 cities in North America to open in. And what if I have a waiting list in every city? Imagine the press and the reduced risk when you know how much business you're going to have in advance before you open. And on opening day, you've got waiting lists, lines of people on the street. Imagine the free press that you get. All right? And isn't everyone glued to their cell phone these days? Or what if I have access to 800 million cell phones, country by country around the world? Which country do you want to target? Or if is it the United States and North America? What if I can make your phone ring live with a customer on it waiting to talk to you, a prospect waiting to talk to you? What if we have the metrics that show that we can triple your business growth over even the most advanced, quote unquote, 10-minute response rates, that you get from an online web form being filled out, by simply having a live phone call come in with the customer or the prospect already on it? We've already measured this. We have dramatic growth capacities. We've got direct access to hundreds of millions of cell phones, over 800 million right now. And they're all opted in. There is no spam and there's no regulatory issue anywhere on the planet. So think about it. Would you like me to go to work for you to show you the top 50 cities to franchise in, or to expand into? Why franchise if you can actually crowdfund each city as a separate project? Think about it. So there's lots of options, okay? We can basically tell you that we have 10, 15, 30% engagement rates with mobile phones. Everybody's tied to their mobile phone. You know that. You can see it in a Starbucks. You can see it at in office, and you can definitely see it with your kids, right? So this is unheard of. 30% engagement rates, depending on the industry and the exact targeting that we do. That's unheard of. And at pennies on the dollar. So if you crowdfund, I can help you leverage that crowdfunding dramatically. And of course, there's a lot more we can talk about, but let me tell you this. Make a list of questions, watch this video as many times as you want, and then please contact the person that knows me. And if you like what you see, let's talk face-to-face just like this. I would like to assist you in your growth, not just on a personal leverage crowdfunding, but also on the equity crowdfunding. And let's start with one or the other, or do both at once. And if you need help with scaling, with growing dramatically, I've got 800 million potential customers waiting to talk to you if you're a global business. And if you're in North America, I've got tens and tens and tens of millions. I got 44 million in China, 12 million in Hong Kong. And I can tell you country by country by country how many millions I have waiting to do business with you with 10, 15, 30% engagement rates if we nail your industry and your offer, and we can do this, okay, by metrics, by hard, cold system metrics, and we learn fast what will be the response rate in each country that you wish to penetrate. Do you want to be the Coca-Cola, the first entrant in a foreign country, or the Marlboro in Russia? Okay, I cannot emphasize enough how important the next 3 or 4 years are to access people via their mobile phones before it gets expensive. And I can facilitate you in all 3 of these areas. So get with the person that knows you and me together, and we'll make sure that they get taken care of, and let's start talking. And any questions, watch this video over and over and bring them to a face-to-face, in-person meeting just like this that we'll have privately just for you. Now, I work by appointment only. I'm really busy already. I keep myself busy, but wouldn't you like to leverage your time? Wouldn't you like to leverage your contacts? Wouldn't you like to leverage your business growth? So that's worth having an appointment for. If you like what you see, let's be in touch. Thank you.